The hum of engines echoed through the massive hangar, where sleek jets gleamed under the harsh overhead lights. Nathaniel Cross stepped out of his truck, his boots crunching against the gravel, dust trailing behind him. Heads turned immediately. He didn't belong here, and everyone knew it. His faded overalls and wide-brimmed hat contrasted starkly with the polished suits of corporate executives. Murmurs rippled through the hangar as Nathaniel walked toward the reception desk with the confidence of a man who had nothing to prove. The receptionist, a tall man in a tailored suit with Elliot Blake on his name tag, glanced at Nathaniel's mud-caked boots. He raised a perfectly groomed eyebrow, forcing a polite smile. "How can I assist you, sir?" Nathaniel met his gaze without hesitation. "I'm here to buy a jet." For a moment, the room seemed to freeze. A group of executives paused their conversation, their eyes darting to Nathaniel. Elliot blinked, his polite smile slipping just slightly. "A jet?" he repeated, as if the words didn't compute. "That's right," Nathaniel replied, his voice calm but firm. "I've done my research, and I know what I need." Elliot hesitated, recovering quickly. "Well, sir, jets like these are designed for specific clientele, corporate executives, luxury travel. Are you sure this is the right place for you?" Nathaniel didn't flinch. "Let's skip the introductions and talk business," he said simply. Elliot's polite facade cracked, but before he could respond, Nathaniel added, "I don't waste time explaining myself. Let's move forward." The murmurs grew louder, but Nathaniel ignored them. He wasn't there to argue. He was there to win. Nathaniel Cross's journey didn't begin with polished jets or million-dollar contracts. It started on a modest farm in rural Mississippi, where every inch of soil carried the weight of his family's struggle. As a boy, Nathaniel watched his parents toil endlessly, battling bad weather, slim profits, and rising debts. They taught him two invaluable lessons: never let circumstances define you, and always find a way to adapt. By the time Nathaniel inherited the farm in his early 20s, it was on the brink of collapse. The fields stretched wide under the sun, but the returns were razor thin. Nathaniel worked harder than anyone else, selling produce at local markets, taking seasonal jobs in nearby towns, and cutting costs wherever he could. Yet no matter how much effort he put in, the farm's future seemed bleak. One bitter winter evening, Nathaniel sat at his kitchen table, staring at a stack of unpaid bills. He realized then that survival required more than hard work. It demanded bold decisions. While other farmers clung to tradition, Nathaniel decided to innovate. Instead of relying solely on local markets, he envisioned selling directly to grocery chains in distant cities. Banks dismissed him. His neighbors laughed. Even his friends questioned his sanity. But Nathaniel didn't let the doubt stop him. He scraped together enough savings to invest in refrigerated trucks, allowing him to transport fresh produce to urban centers. The risk paid off. His first major contract with a Dallas grocery chain changed everything. By cutting out middlemen, Nathaniel boosted profits and expanded his reach. Over the years, he diversified his business, adding dairy and meat to his operations. By the time he turned 50, Nathaniel had transformed his family farm into a thriving enterprise, supplying food to 10 states. But he wasn't content to stop there. The idea of air transport came to him as he reviewed his growing logistics demands. A jet could revolutionize his operations, slashing delivery times and ensuring unmatched freshness. Nathaniel knew it was a bold move, but bold moves were his specialty. Now at 57, he was standing in that hangar, ready to turn his vision into reality. "People will doubt you," Nathaniel's father once said. "Your job isn't to argue, it's to prove them wrong." And that's exactly what Nathaniel intended to do. The tension in the hangar was palpable as Nathaniel stood at the reception desk. Elliot Blake, the salesman with a pristine suit, imperfectly styled hair, was trying to mask his disbelief. His gaze flicked again to Nathaniel's boots, lingering just long enough to signal his skepticism. "So, you're looking to buy a jet?" Elliot asked, the faintest trace of condescension slipping into his voice. "That's right," Nathaniel said firmly. "Something reliable for business transport." Elliot raised an eyebrow, his polished demeanor struggling to hide his doubt. "And may I ask what kind of business you're in?" Nathaniel didn't blink. "I manage Carter Farms. We supply fresh produce, dairy, and meat to grocery chains across 10 states. Elliot's lips tightened into a polite smile. Interesting, he said, though his tone suggested otherwise. Jets like these are typically used for executives and luxury travel, not produce. Nathaniel held his gaze, calm and unyielding. I'm here for efficiency, not luxury, he said. Now, are we going to talk specs, or are we going to keep dancing around the point? Elliot hesitated, clearly caught off guard by Nathaniel's directness. Of course, he said, gesturing toward a sleek, silver jet parked under bright lights. This is the Maverick 300. Seats 8 comfortably, excellent cargo capacity. Starting price, $3.5 million. Nathaniel walked toward the jet, his boots echoing against the polished floor. He ran his hand along its smooth surface, studying the craftsmanship. What's the maximum weight capacity? He asked. Elliot's polished confidence wavered. It depends, he said cautiously. It's typically designed for passengers and their luggage, not crates of vegetables. Nathaniel turned to him, his expression sharp. Produce, he corrected, and it's critical. I need specifics. Elliot opened his mouth to respond but was interrupted by another man approaching. The newcomer's suit was just as sharp, but his demeanor was noticeably warmer. Good morning, the man said, extending his hand. I'm Tom. Can I help answer any questions? Carter, Nathaniel replied, shaking his hand. I need a jet that can be modified for cargo. No frills, just reliability. Tom nodded, his professionalism refreshing. The Maverick 300 is versatile. Let's step inside and I'll walk you through the details. Nathaniel followed, the unspoken tension with Elliot still hanging in the air. He wasn't here for their approval, just results. The Maverick 300 gleamed under the hangar lights, a testament to engineering precision. Nathaniel climbed the steps into the cabin, his boots thudding against the sleek metal stairs. Inside, the air was cool and the lighting soft, casting a warm glow over the polished leather seats and gleaming fixtures. Tom led the way, gesturing toward the spacious interior. As you can see, the Maverick 300 is designed for comfort and efficiency. It seats 8, includes fold-out tables for in-flight work, and features advanced navigation systems. Nathaniel scanned the space, his sharp eyes taking in every detail. While the layout exuded luxury, he was already imagining it transformed. Seats replaced with reinforced flooring, the aisles filled with crates of fresh produce. How much weight can this handle? Nathaniel asked, cutting to the chase. Tom answered smoothly. Its maximum cargo capacity is 2,500 pounds. With some modifications, we could optimize it further for your specific needs. Before Nathaniel could respond, Elliot, who had lingered near the door, interjected. Mr. Carter, jets like this are typically reserved for executives or high-end clients. They aren't exactly delivery trucks. Nathaniel turned to face him, his expression calm but piercing. Efficiency is efficiency, he said evenly. Doesn't matter what you're transporting. Tom cleared his throat, stepping in to diffuse the tension. Actually, Mr. Carter is right, he said. We've had clients customize jets for various business needs. It's all about tailoring the design to meet their goals. Nathaniel gave a slight nod, appreciating Tom's professionalism. I'll need reinforced flooring and temperature control, he said. Freshness is non-negotiable. Tom jotted down notes. Understood. We'll bring in our customization team to work through the specifics. Elliot crossed his arms, clearly uncomfortable with how easily Nathaniel was navigating the process. Mr. Carter, he began, his tone sharp, what kind of operation are you running, if you don't mind me asking? Nathaniel paused, then turned slowly to meet Elliot's gaze. Carter Farms, he said. We supply fresh produce, dairy, and meat to grocery chains across 10 states. Last year, we generated $12.8 million in revenue. Elliot's mouth opened slightly, his composure faltering. 12 million, he repeated, as though the number was foreign to him. That's right, Nathaniel said calmly, and we're growing. This jet will help us meet the demand and stay ahead of the competition. Tom looked genuinely impressed, while Elliot seemed to shrink slightly in the background. Nathaniel, however, didn't dwell on the reactions. He wasn't there to prove anything. He was there to make things happen. I've seen enough, Nathaniel said, stepping toward the exit. Let's talk next steps. Tom nodded. I'll get the paperwork started. We can schedule a meeting with the customization team this week. Elliot stayed silent as Nathaniel left the cabin. The tension was thick, but Nathaniel didn't care. He was one step closer to turning his vision into reality. Nathaniel stood near the jet, his calm demeanor masking the intensity of the moment. Elliot, still lingering nearby, couldn't hide his curiosity. Finally, he broke the silence. "Mr. Carter," Elliot said, his tone cautious, "I don't mean to pry, but I have to ask, what exactly drives someone like you to make such an investment?" Nathaniel turned to him, his expression steady. "I don't mind you asking," he said, "but I'll let my story answer for me." Nathaniel began, his voice even and purposeful. "I grew up on a small farm in Mississippi. My parents worked harder than anyone I've ever known, but it was always a struggle to make ends meet. When I inherited the farm, I realized we couldn't survive doing things the old way. So I adapted." Elliot listened, his skeptical expression softening slightly. "I invested in refrigerated trucks," Nathaniel continued. "Everyone thought I was crazy, but I cut out the middlemen and started selling directly to grocery chains. That one decision took us from surviving to thriving." He paused, letting the weight of his words sink in. "Today, Carter Farm supplies fresh produce, dairy, and meat to 10 states. Last year, we generated $12.8 million in revenue. And it's not just about the numbers. It's about doing things differently, staying ahead of the curve." Elliot's composure cracked further. "12 million, he repeated, shaking his head as if the figure were hard to grasp. "That's right," Nathaniel said, his tone firm but calm. "And demand keeps growing. This jet isn't a luxury. It's a necessity. It's how we stay competitive, deliver freshness faster than anyone else, and ensure our customers get the best." Tom nodded approvingly, clearly impressed. "It sounds like you've built something incredible, Mr. Carter. I can see why this investment makes sense for you." Nathaniel glanced at Elliot, whose doubt had visibly turned into reluctant respect. "You see," Nathaniel said, "success isn't about appearances or assumptions. It's about results." For a moment, the hangar fell silent. Nathaniel's words carried the undeniable weight of truth, and even Elliot couldn't argue with that. "I think we're ready to move forward," Nathaniel said, breaking the silence. Tom smiled. "Let's make it happen." As the deal was progressing, Nathaniel's attention was drawn to a scene unfolding near the front desk. A young man, no older than 20, stood in a crisp maintenance uniform, his posture tense as he pleaded with an older man who appeared to be his manager. "I've been working hard, sir," the young man said, his voice tinged with frustration. "I just need a chance to prove myself. I've got the training, and I'm ready to learn." The manager shook his head, his expression dismissive. "We prioritize candidates with more experience," he said curtly. Nathaniel's boots thudded against the polished floor as he walked over, the echo of his steps causing both men to turn toward him. The younger man's eyes widened slightly, a flicker of hope mixed with confusion crossing his face. "What's going on here?" Nathaniel asked, his voice calm but commanding. The manager straightened, clearly caught off guard. "It's nothing, sir," he said quickly. "Just discussing our apprenticeship program. This young man, Derek, was inquiring, but we have a process and—" "I heard enough," Nathaniel interrupted, fixing the manager with a steady gaze. "You're telling me he's not qualified because he doesn't have experience?" "Well, sir," the manager stammered, "it's not that simple. We receive a lot of applications, and Derek doesn't meet all the criteria." Nathaniel turned to Derek. "What's your name, son?" "Derek Porter," the young man replied, his voice steady despite the tension. Nathaniel nodded. "And you're looking for a chance to get into aviation maintenance?" "Yes, sir," Derek said. "I've been studying and training on my own. I just need someone to give me a shot." Nathaniel looked back at the manager, his expression unyielding. "Let me tell you something about potential," he said. "It doesn't always come wrapped in the package you expect. Sometimes the best people are the ones willing to work the hardest because they've had to fight for every opportunity." The manager shifted uncomfortably. "I understand your point, but—" "No buts," Nathaniel cut him off. "I'm about to invest millions in a jet. That means I'll be trusting your team to maintain it. And I want to know that you're giving opportunities to people who are willing to earn them." The weight of Nathaniel's words hung heavy in the air. The manager fidgeted before nodding reluctantly. "We'll reconsider Derek's application," he said, his tone tight. Nathaniel turned to Derek. Don't let anyone tell you what you're worth, he said. If they won't give you a chance, you make one for yourself. But sometimes you've got to remind people why they should believe in you. Derek straightened, his eyes shining with determination. Thank you, sir, he said. I won't let you down. Nathaniel smiled faintly. I know you won't. As Nathaniel walked back toward Tom and Elliot, he felt the weight of the encounter settle over him. It wasn't just about lifting himself up. It was about creating opportunities for others who faced the same walls of doubt. Elliot, who had watched the entire scene, said nothing, but the look on his face spoke volumes. Nathaniel didn't need validation. He had done what felt right. Everything squared away? Tom asked when Nathaniel returned. Just tying up loose ends, Nathaniel said. He had come here for a jet, but he was leaving with something far more valuable, a reminder of why he fought so hard in the first place. Nathaniel sat across the table from Tom, the glossy surface between them reflecting the intense focus in his eyes. Elliot hovered nearby, his polished demeanor slightly cracked from the events of the day. The tension in the room was thick, but Nathaniel exuded calm confidence. Tom slid a packet of documents across the table. The Maverick 300, as it stands, is $3.5 million. However, with the modifications you're requesting, reinforced flooring, refrigeration systems, and enhanced weight distribution, the total comes to $3.85 million. Nathaniel picked up the papers, scanning the numbers with sharp precision. What guarantees do I have that these modifications will meet my needs? He asked, his tone firm but measured. Tom nodded. We'll ensure that everything is tailored to your specifications. Our customization team will work closely with you to optimize the cargo capacity and maintain efficiency. Before Tom could continue, Elliot interjected. Of course, there are additional features you might want to consider, he said, his voice regaining some of its earlier edge. Luxury navigation systems, upgraded interiors. Nathaniel raised a hand, cutting him off. I'm not here for luxury, he said flatly. This jet is a tool, not a showpiece. Let's stick to what's necessary. Elliot blinked, momentarily thrown off balance. Tom, sensing the shift, quickly adjusted. Understood, Mr. Carter, he said. We'll focus solely on the modifications for business transport. Nathaniel leaned back slightly, his gaze steady. And what about maintenance? I need assurances that this jet can handle consistent use under demanding conditions. Tom replied confidently. We offer a comprehensive maintenance program, including regular inspections and training for your team. We'll also ensure that the modifications are fully certified for your operations. Elliot, trying to reestablish himself, added, I can personally oversee the customization process to make sure everything meets your expectations. Nathaniel studied him for a moment, then nodded curtly. Good, I'll hold you to that. The conversation moved into specifics, with Nathaniel negotiating down costs on optional features he deemed unnecessary. By the third attempt at upselling, Elliot stopped entirely, realizing Nathaniel wasn't someone who could be swayed easily. When the final numbers were presented, Nathaniel signed the agreement with steady hands. This is an investment in my business, he said, and I expect results. No delays, no excuses. Tom smiled, genuinely impressed. We'll deliver, Mr. Carter. You have my word. Elliot extended his hand cautiously. Thank you for your business, Mr. Carter, he said, his voice more respectful than it had been all day. Nathaniel shook his hand briefly. Actions speak louder than word, he said. As they finalized the deal, Nathaniel knew this wasn't just about buying a jet. It was about showing the world, once again, that hard work and vision could break through any barrier. The afternoon sun hung low as Nathaniel stepped out of the hangar, the crisp air carrying the faint scent of jet fuel. He paused by his truck, the finalized contract for the Maverick 300 in his hand. The gleaming jets behind him were a stark contrast to the dusty vehicle that had carried him here, a quiet reminder of just how far he had come. This wasn't just about a jet. Nathaniel knew that. It was about pushing boundaries, proving doubters wrong, and staying ahead in a world that often dismissed people like him. He had built Carter Farms from the ground up, turning struggle into opportunity. This jet would carry more than produce. It would carry the legacy of resilience, innovation, and belief in the impossible. His thoughts drifted to Derek, the young man who reminded him of himself decades ago. Nathaniel had been in his shoes once, hungry for a chance, fighting to be seen in a world that often judged before it understood. The look on Derek's face when Nathaniel stood up for him lingered in his mind. It wasn't just about lifting himself. It was about lifting others. Success wasn't just measured in profits or assets. It was about the lives touched along the way. Nathaniel had spent years proving that hard work and vision could outshine even the harshest skepticism. And now with this jet, he was ready to take that vision to new heights, literally and figuratively. He climbed into his truck, gripping the steering wheel with a sense of quiet satisfaction. The journey ahead wouldn't be easy. It never was. But Nathaniel had never been afraid of hard work. As the engine roared to life, he glanced at the wide, open sky and smiled. His legacy was just getting started. Nathaniel's journey is proof that success isn't about where you start. It's about where you're willing to go. He turned challenges into opportunities, silenced the doubters, and built a legacy of resilience and innovation. If his story inspires you, remember, your dreams are valid, your efforts matter, and your perseverance will pay off. Don't let the world define your worth. Show them what you're capable of. Like, share, and subscribe for more stories of determination and triumph. And always believe this, you're more than what the world sees. Your actions define your legacy.